And so have you ever seen Reservoir Dogs?
Yeah.
Okay, you know when Mr. Orange is in the restaurant with the guy who wants to be Sam Jackson,
Hmm.
and he's telling him uh like he hands him this paper, and Tim Roth is like, "What is this paper?" And he goes, "It's the Commode story." And he goes, "What am I supposed to do with this?" And he's using this story to convince people, the bad guys, that he's not an undercover cop. And so this is like Tarantino's meta like thought piece on story, telling a story within a story within a story. But the whole thing is you have to know your story so well that you can convince criminals who are looking for a double agent that you're not a double agent, you're just one of them. And his whole argument is that you have to know your story so well that none of it sounds made up. Right now, we don't want to make up stories, but we could be observant about our own stories enough to really know the story. And so it's a great scene, and you can just Google it, I'm sure, and it'll be on YouTube or something. Just this one scene of Reservoir Dogs where, he's starting, he's reading it. It's really awkward where he's reading the pages and it sounds like he's rehearsing something. And then you see him, in his bedroom or his apartment, and he's just like rehearsing to himself. Then he's rehearsing for his lieutenant again. And then all of a sudden he's telling the story live to the bad guys. And then he's got them so immersed that Tarantino actually is putting the guy in the bathroom, in the location of the story as the world happens around him. And that's what you want as a storyteller. You want to be so good at your details and your color that the people you're telling the story are right there with you. So it becomes internalized. Like they then know that story enough to take a few pieces, make it their own, and go tell it to somebody else.
Okay. So then, as I'm looking at this from a leadership lens, if I need people to be able to get on board with the idea that we're working on, this project, this new product, whatever it is, if I have my story down of what this is and why it matters, they're more likely to be bought in and work and help me make this vision come alive. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to give them a reason to identify, and you have to give them a reason to care. So in the Commode story, the story that he's telling, it basically, the reason is he has to prove that he's one of them. And so he tells this story about how when he was in college, he used to sell just a little bit of weed, and then, but he got in over his head more and more and more. And then he's like basically trying to pay for his own weed habit. So then now he's actually transporting like a lot of weed across state lines.